Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Behringer. And today I have a video response, and the theme is Give Me a Sign, and this is in response to Peter Shaw, who'd asked me how to do my road markings. So it's just a quick little mini how-to on how I do it. It's like I said, there isn't a right or wrong way of doing it, and you can also get road markings off the old internet should you want them. But I just tend to hand paint them, and I'm just going to show you how I do it. And I'll give you some examples briefly before I show you. There's also a layout update attached to this, so that's something else as well. So these are just how I do my road markings. I hand paint these. A lot of these road markings can be bought from various websites on the internet, but there are some road markers you just can't get, which is I have actually tried, because I did look into it. If I move this Atlantean out the way, stuff like this type of road marking you just won't get, and you have to do it yourself. So the sort of principles that I'll show you in creating how I do it is basically the same principles that apply to no matter which type of road markings you want to paint. So we'll get onto the workbench and I'll show you how we do it. So here we are on my workbench. So before we start, let's just go through a bit of a shopping list that you might need to complete this task. Depending on what you do you might not necessarily need all of this stuff, it just depends what you're going to do. Now the first thing you're going to want is a piece of card, like that, just a black piece of card. And that's where I generally start, but just enough to cover the area that you're going to be working on or that you're going to be doing. So that obviously you have to bear that in mind. This is just a scrap piece, and I'm only using this as a demonstration. You'll also need, or what I use is black emulsion tester pot paint, nice and cheap, cheerful from Wilko's. If you're going to do white lines, I just generally use acrylic paints, and I've just got a white 34 knocking about, and that's what I use. I would actually use also an acrylic yellow, but I haven't got one. I'm just going to demonstrate how I do bus stops with this, and that's all yellow lines, so that's why I'm using that. A sponge, a pencil, a paintbrush, a ruler, and a vehicle as a test bed, basically, just to mark it out. Now generally speaking, a good rule of thumb, it's a bit like your when you do railways and things like that, you say use your longest coach, and it's almost the same applies when I use my car park to do my car park things. Is take your biggest vehicle, like a transit van, not a lorry, because obviously lorries don't normally use car parks because they've got their own warehouses and loading bays, but generally speaking, even in car parks, sometimes you see transit vans parked in there, so that's generally a good sort of marker for sort of size, so that's what I tend to go for. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to paint this, and this is like standard mount board paint, mount board. Now the thing is with this is you could actually leave it as it is, but it doesn't really give a nice sort of effect to it. So when you take your sponge, I don't know how clear this is showing up, and all you're doing, because the great thing about using a sponge is it covers a lot of the card very quickly indeed, and it also gives a really nice layer as well, because it's so thin it will dry really quickly. This dries in about 10 minutes. So and all I'm doing is just rubbing it on. You know, art was never my specialist subject when I was at school. I've had to learn all of this. It's like electrics as well. Not very good at electrics. Through railway modelling, it's amazing what you learn through railway modelling. So that's it. That only took what, about a couple of minutes, maybe just a minute. But that's just for this particular piece. Like I said, it depends on what you need or how you're going to do it. Will depend on how much card you're going to use. But basically, this is all demonstration purposes. So if I just sort of show you, I don't know how it's coming up, but you can see that it's kind of got this tinge to it. You can see that it's all wet and it's all been covered. And basically you let that dry and you let that set, and that will only take about 10 minutes or so for it to dry. In good Blue Peter fashion though, here's one I prepared earlier. It's a smaller piece, but it's dried and it gives this really nice matte finish to it. It looks pretty similar to it was originally, but it just gives a nicer finish. So then the next thing we're going to do is going to mark out some lines. Now, like I said, this is just demonstration purposes, so I'm not doing this specifically for me or to go, because this won't go on my layout. This is just purely to demonstrate how I sort of go about it. Let's just see. We'll just do a few spaces. So we'll just mark a line, just using a pencil. And like I said, we take our transit van. Like I said, that's usually our guide. And then what you do is just leave a small space, just enough to sort of open the doors. Like you do in real life. None of this is done by precise measurements or anything like that. It's just roughly, you know, so there's no, doesn't have to be precise. So as it so happens, we've probably got enough of a line to create 3 spaces. I'll show you that in just a jiffy. It's a bit like painting by numbers, really. So we've now marked it out, and there you go. It's all done by pencil. Like I said, I use the highway code for road markings and things like that. I mean, I'm not actually going to show you anything today, but I have used it on the town scene. See, it's now marked out on there. So the next job is to start painting, which is what we're going to do next. Okie dokie, right. Right, so this is what we've got next. So what you do is basically, like I said earlier, it's like painting by numbers. Take the excess paint off. Now you don't have to be particularly precise about this, to be honest with you, and I'll show you why. All you want to do is just basically just cover the line as best you can. See? So that was a bit thick, that, but I wouldn't worry, because I'll show you why afterwards. Now, the reason why I hand paint this is purely because stuff that I see that you can buy on the internet, and I've seen them on people's layouts, and it looks good, I'll be honest, because it looks nice and sharp and nicely printed, and it's very easy. But I find that some of the road markers can be a bit kind of big. It seems a bit unrealistic, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. It's just me, I suppose. It's just my own personal view. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's a wrong. It's just my own personal view. I don't know which company makes it. I don't know if it's Model Railway Scene, but one of them. You can get the printed sheets, and it just looks pretty chunky. But when you look at this, what I'm doing, and I'll show you it in a minute once I've done it, is it does look pretty rough. But it's what you do next that kind of makes it. So I'm just painting it on. Right. So here we are, we've just marked out our free spaces, as you can see, and you can probably tell it looks a bit. It doesn't look tidy, but we're going to get around to doing that in a minute. And that's just, like I said, you've gone over the lines. They're roughly in the position that you want, so that's what we want at this stage. So now we've marked this out, and we've done this, we just need to tidy it up now. So we take our paintbrush and our black paint, and then this is when we start tidying up. So I don't know where we start really, but and you sort of use this as a bit of a rubber really, and then once the black dries up, it will just blend in with the rest of the card. So this has now become an eraser really. It's like Tipp-Exing it out, so you can tidy up the lines. Yeah. And then basically you can straighten out the lines then. And this particular line is a bit thick, so it hasn't quite dried yet. And again, you just sort of chop it off a bit if you think it's too much. So you just blend it in with the rest of it, and then when it all dries, it will dry the same colour. So I hope this is coming out alright on here. Now if I just show you what I've done, you can see how thick these lines are where it's roughly done, but you can just see, just by using the black paint, you can tidy up the lines and make them thinner and smaller. So basically, if I just carry on going over this, you will see, oopsie, let me just go like that so you can have a good look. You can see that what I've done here. So what I'll do is I'll go over the rest of it and I'll come back to you when it's all done. So here we are. I've just finished doing a lot of them, but they've not quite dry yet. But you can now sort of see what I've done now. Hopefully it will come out. And basically I've tidied up the lines by using the brush as an eraser. So the lines are now thinner, they're more tidier. I mean, I suppose they're not 100% like tidying everything, but then again you sort of have to look at the roads and you can see that they're probably not. But it's a lot better than the way it was. So initially you just use the pencil to mark out the lines, you then go over it with the white paint, just roughly, and then you just tidy it up with the black paint again, and then once that all dries, that will all just get blended in, and then all the lines can be blended in with bushes or with a wall or something like that, and you can then weather it up as you want. And it's the same applies for the bus stop. If you want to use the bus stop or create bus stop signs, just mark it out. And one of the good things to use is like the Highway Code. Here's a book, and in the Highway Code there's actually pictures here on the Highway Code that showed various, hopefully this is coming out, and you can see where it says the bus stop there. So basically if you wanted to create those road markings yourself, just grab the pencil, and some of these other road markings that maybe you don't, that you might want. I know that you can get these roads, some of these off the internet, and it is quite easy and convenient, but there are some road markings that just aren't available, I don't think. And if you want to just save yourself some money, or you want to do it yourself, or fancy having a go at yourself, then this is one way of doing it. For me, I don't mind doing it this way. I've got the paint, I've got the materials, I sort of know what I'm doing, so as long as you're happy with it, then that's up to you. I mean, it's each to their own at the end of the day. So that's the Highway Code, and that's how I do some road markings, and I hope that this has been of help to you, Peter, who specifically asked me for this, and also to anyone else who might find this tutorial useful. So I'm just going to go through a quick layout update for you whilst we're here, because I have done a few bits and pieces, so I'll show you what I've been up to. So one of the other things I've been up to during the layout update has been to, you can't really see much of it, but basically the way that this is now taking its power. There was an isolating point here, which I've removed because I don't need it anymore, because basically the main was taking its power from the other end of the layout, and it was conflicting with this one. So I've had to swap. So basically what I've done is I've swapped where this takes the power from, so it doesn't conflict with that one anymore. So that's one of the little jobs that I've done. Also, I've added this little panel with some switches on it. There are various isolating points around the layout, which will also help enormously, which was also highlighted in one of the running sessions that I could have done with a few more isolating points. So that's what I've done. Also, that one there is for the lighting, because that lighting switch was just dangling in here for a while, so now I've now reseated that and put that in properly, and now that it's just permanently connected over there. These two in the middle will be for isolating these, because they're going to be run through the combi. So basically I can just switch between the two, so I can leave them permanently connected, but I haven't quite got around to doing that yet. So here we are at the fiddle yard, and one of the other jobs I've been doing is I've painted this board in preparation for some numbers to go on it. And if I just take out a number, sorry, I'll just show you how it's going to sort of go on there. It was like what I had before over the far side in the early days. So that's going to go there and glued on. I mean, obviously depending on which lane it is, I haven't decided. So I've got two sets of numbers here. There may be some more, and basically one of the other jobs I've been doing is I've been painting this board up as well, and that board there will run all the way along the back from there all the way across there, so all the lanes will be numbered and marked, which is why there's two sets of numbers, and there will probably need more than 8, but I've got some more numbers. And a word on the numbers in case any of you are interested. I did mention that I got it from a toy shop, and I managed to find some exact same numbers from the toy shop yesterday, and it's cost me £2, and it's from Creation Station, and it says be inspired, and I guess with these numbers I was kind of inspired to use them on this. They're not really used, they're supposed to be used for children's numbers and letters and alphabets and things, but they come in this bag, and then basically these are just painted up in the same matte black matte black emulsion paint from Wilko's, and it gives a lovely finish. So one set will go on the front bar, the next set will go on along the back bar, which will run all the way along the back there. Now the reason why there's going to be two sets is because when I do the upper deck is going to finish here. So this, from there to down the end, is still going to remain single. The upper deck will finish here, and it will go all the way along here. But the problem is that when I put the numbers on here, it's going to be slightly obscured by the board on the top. But the reason for having the numbers on this side is that if you're operating it from, say, where the Behringer is, you can have a quick glance at it and see where everything is. So that's kind of the reason. And then obviously down this end you'll have a much clearer view of where everything is, because you won't have the board from here to down to the end to obscure those numbers. So that's what I've been doing. Also I've added the switches, so all the isolating points, well, they're not all working, but the majority of them are. There's a few still need to be wired in, and also that's for the lighting as well, the white one. But again, I haven't done that yet, so that's just as and when, but we're sort of getting there. So if you sort of pan out, you can see, and like I said, the numbers will just go next to it, so you know which one belongs to which road, but they will be in the unpainted version, which is basically this bag here. Also, I have one more, lastly, before we go, I have a new addition to show you. So before we do that, you might have caught a glimpse of it already, but I'm just going to wheel these wagons out of the way so we can have a nice little look, see what we've got. And that is my DPU, weathered Scooby-Doo version, and it's a Western region one, so it works nicely on this particular layout because it is southwestern region. Around this is where I'm sort of based, this layout. And it was a bargain. It was a bargain from Hatton's, so why not? I did have one before, Royal Mail red one, and I got rid of it, and I was a bit kind of disappointed, and I got rid of it. I kind of regretted it, so I've got another one instead now, but a blue one. I can still get the red one if I want it, but I actually really wanted to get the blue weathered version, so this is the one that I've got. It runs really sweet actually, and it looks really, really nice on my layout, and this is going to be used generally to do the mail train up to along the branch basically. So the main mail train, which is the one, I don't know if you can see it, but it's sort of here on the back here, that's the main one. So the DPU will be used to go up to the branch and maybe take this blue GUV with it, maybe. But to be honest with you, I quite like the DPU without adding the couplings to it, because I think if I add the couplings to it, it looks a bit on the ugly side, to be honest. So I think I might leave it without it, and then it goes singly up and down the branch. but it is a possibility anyway. So anyway, take care, thanks for watching, please feel free to comment and subscribe as always, and if I can be of assistance then please do ask and I will try and get back to you as quick as I can, and my apologies for the delay in getting this video up. So bye for now.